Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Saturday, March the 1st, 2025, which makes this the news for Friday, February 28th, 2025, day 1101 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. And even as we begin this live stream, the air raid sirens are sounding here in Kyiv, just as the siren's wail of alarm is going up around the world as the world looks on in horror and disgust at the United States of America that turned its back on allies and friends today. What we witness today, make no mistake, is an administration in the throes of despair and anxiety caused by the pressure created by their Russian handlers, who are obviously ramping the pressure up on these Kremlin creatures to end the war out of desperation. As disgusted as we all are by the treatment that President Zelensky received at the hands of Uncle Scam in the home of the Fee, we should take heart. We should take heart, everybody, because what the treatment of Zelensky says is that Russia is ready to break, and they are putting all the pressure they can on the Tangerine Palpatine and his group of thugs, goblins, and ghouls who have usurped the power of the presidency for the benefit of our foreign adversaries. Make no mistake, today we saw with our own eyes, as clear as day, that Olympus has fallen. The presidency of the United States is in the hands of a creature of the Kremlin. The president of the United States is taking his orders from Moscow. There is no other explanation for the treason that we saw today, for the outright gangsterism, the bullying of the leader of a sovereign nation who's been invaded by Russia, who is fighting an absolute genocide from the Kremlin. And this is how he gets treated in the home of the free and the land of the brave. It's not the home of the free anymore. It's the home of the Fee. If you have $5 million and you're an oligarch who's looking to flee the chaos in Russia that's about to happen when that nightmare state fails and collapses in on itself, and you got $5 million, we'll welcome you in, because your money is undermining the very foundations of this country, of the United States of America. It's obscene. It is G2. It is the greatest embarrassment in the history of the United States of America. It is a crime. It is a sin. It is a shame. And it is like a knife in my heart. Jim Heron, you can fuck right off. I saw your pro-Trump bullshit. You're just a creature of the Kremlin. You're a useful idiot who has sold America out. Give me a fucking break. What world do you live on? Sean, I do something about it every fucking day. First of all, I'm in Kyiv. Right there. I'm where the fighting at. I'll tell you something. As an American, it is very comforting to me to be surrounded by men and women who put their lives on the line, who bleed for democracy, who are willing to die for democracy. It is very comforting to me as I watch my own people cheer the death of democracy to shouts of Trump and YMCA, which we can't call a gay anthem anymore because the owner to the rights will sue you if you do. It's the gayest song in the history of the world. YMCA is an anthem for the closeted gay man. And if Trump loves that song, well, you can take from that what you want. Hey, Van, Trump is a Russian agent. He is Krasnov. No, I don't think Zelensky should go back at all. I think that what happened today makes the United States of America irrelevant in this conflict. Irrelevant. The United States of America is clearly compromised. Clearly compromised. And therefore can no longer be trusted as either a friend of the United States as a friend of Europe or as a friend of Ukraine. He cannot be trusted. I loved the Oval Office meeting in so many ways because it shows the desperation of the Russians. The Russians have to squeeze their asset, their KGB agent Krasnov. They have to squeeze him by the balls to get him to do what they need him to do, which is end the fighting. And they need to end the fighting because they can't fight anymore. You don't have to give up on America. America just gave up on itself today. We all saw it. America gave up on itself today. It's ridiculous, precious hair. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. No, they're not fighting anymore. Zelensky left. He is on his way to London, where he will meet with a dozen European leaders on Sunday in a special emergency session that Keir Starmer has called. I don't know if you guys saw my apology to the people of the UK, but Keir Starmer received what might have been an even worse reception. I mean, Trump told him pointedly to just shut the fuck up. How do Americans get rid of Trump? I don't know. I really don't. We seem to be too civilized to handle this con man, this cheap snake oil salesman fraud who has defrauded the American people out of their very government. Yeah, you can mark your calendars. You can mark your calendars. February 28th, 2025, America died. It made it very clear. He made it very, very clear. 77 million people can be wrong, and they are clearly wrong. He is there. He is an instrument of our enemies to destroy the United States of America. It's just that simple. And if you cannot see that, then you are a useful idiot of our enemies. Russian TV in the White House, yep. No, I'm not seeing Trump's goals all wrong. I'm seeing them exactly for what they are. The destruction of the United States on behalf of his Kremlin handlers. Those are his goals. Let's hope so, Mighty 44. Europe's got to stand up. You know why? Because the United States is going to need it. The United States is going to need Europe to save us from fascism. It's just that simple. You know, we did you guys a favor back in the 40s. Helped defeat fascism in Europe. Well, you can help us defeat fascism in the United States of America because it has come home to roost. It has come home to roost. There's just no two ways about it. Nope, none of us have ever seen anything like this before, Mac, because there's never been anything like this before. Krina, hey, Krina asks a great question. What can we do right now to help? That is a great question. One of the things that you can do is do something for yourself, right? I swore, I was mad for the whole first Trump administration, and I swore I was not going to do it this time. And so that means taking care of yourself. So look, things are going to get bad. They're going to get worse, right? Like things are not going to get better, guys. Things are going to get worse, far worse. Did you hear him talking about World War III? Right? We know already that the Russians are spending money on a propaganda campaign to convince Americans that the threat of nuclear holocaust is real and that therefore we should all submit to the will of Moscow. Fuck that noise, right? It's not real. Even if the United States doesn't shoot back, England has nukes. France has nukes. Our allies have nukes. So nobody should be worried about nuclear war, especially not from a country that steals its defense budget. All the generals steal the defense budget, right? So why do we think that their nukes even work? So the first thing, Krina, I think that everybody ought to do is do things for yourself. In this age of ignorance, learn something. In this age of lies, pursue the truth relentlessly. In this age of hate, do something you love. Pursue something you love. Be in the world. Now, for anybody who can help Ukraine, United 24 is the place to do it. And I encourage everybody to go to United 24. I am thinking about maybe doing an auction here because a buddy of mine, his group needs a drone. And they need about $30,000 for the drone. If anybody wants the monobank jar for that, just shoot me an email. And I will send you the monobank jar. And you can donate directly to the Black Lakes Battalion, who are trying to raise money for a reconnaissance drone. It's a used drone. It's a $60,000 drone, but they're getting it half off from another department of the Army who used it for a couple months and now has upgraded, right? What's at stake? The world power, but will Trump give America to Putin? Is this what is happening? This is what has already happened, Krina. It's already happened. The power, at least right now, the political power of the United States is working for Russia. That's clearly what has happened. No one can look at what happened today and tell me that anything else other than a creature of the Kremlin assaulted the leader of a sovereign nation who's our ally. One of the pieces of propaganda that we're seeing a lot of now, and it's to be expected, I guess, is from the Chinese. Bullshit like China stands with Ukraine. China has never stood with Ukraine. China provides weapons and support to Russia. So China certainly doesn't stand with Ukraine. And you're going to see increasingly things like, as a Swede, I think Europe should do a deal with China. As a German, I think we should do a deal with China. You're going to see a lot of that bullshit. And it is just China is a problem, right? China has supported this war implicitly from the beginning. Now, Ashley, you're right. We do have to take America back again. And I'm willing to go to war. That's why I moved to Ukraine. I live with war every day. So do not tell me that I'm not ready for war. I mean, I'm old, I'm fat. I am not ready to be on the battlefield, that's for sure. But I am not afraid of this. I am not afraid of it because it is inevitable. And the longer that you wait, the harder it gets, the worse it will be. Judy, I know you guys are coming in May. Zoe Field says, and she's probably right, that a rare earth deal had already been made between Trump and Putin prior to that circus. I do think that Trump and Putin have a kind of Molotov-Ribbentrop pact between them, where they are going to divide up Ukraine. Andre makes a good point. J.D. Vance attacked President Zelensky today, talking about how he is running low on soldiers. How about Russia using North Korean soldiers, asks Andre. It's a good point, right? Russia, God damn it. If the Ukrainians could just fire off 10 times as much artillery as the Russians are doing every day, it would break the line. It would break it. It would break the Russian Federation in half. Yeah, no, nobody mentioned North Korea during that debacle today. I love these Russian trolls with Trump avatars and IP addresses in St. Petersburg. You guys are the best. Really, love you guys. You're all the best. Get a fucking VPN. I am in Kyiv. Yes, Monty. Have you heard of the third term project? I don't want to hear about it. I mean, all we heard from the Republicans was how old Joe Biden is, but they're going to put Trump up for a third term like the dictator he wants to be. I'm with you, Sergey. Any update on the little cheeky Ukrainian offensive, Sam Harris? Sam, on the front line today, there's no movement. There's no movement at all. A little bit, a couple hundred meters for the Russians just southwest of Pokrovsk. And that is not to say that the fighting is not intense and violent. It is all of those things. Guys, everything I had prepared for tonight has just gone right out the window for me. It's gone right out the window because we are watching history. We watched the vice president and president of the United States abandon all facts and reason today and absolutely nail the leader of a sovereign nation to the wall so that they could strong arm him out of the mineral wealth of this country at the behest, and strong arm him into a ceasefire just to give Putin time to rearm and come out swinging. It's obscene. Obscene. Greg Johnson, that's a ridiculous thing to say. There is a website called ukraineoversight.gov. You can track every single penny that we have spent in this war. So to say things like that is just willful ignorance. I do want to thank Dark Irish and Thor, the god of war, and the patron saint of drunks and prostitutes, for their sponsorship of tonight's live. I didn't see anybody comment on his camouflage or his olive drab. Patrick, I unfriended someone today for saying F Ukraine. Was that an overreaction? I block them all the time, so I'm not the person to ask. Zelensky is a hero. I agree, CyberDoc. I'm ashamed on behalf of all decent Americans. How could this happen? That is a great question. They commented, why don't you have a suit? It was Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend who asked Zelensky about his clothes. Was it really? Good for us, Robert, right? You know, Senator, Elon doesn't wear a suit. I mean, you know, it's just nonsense. Nobody cares. It's not the thing to care about. What we should care about is the fact that right now, the man that Trump works for, and I don't mean Musk, I mean Putin, the man that Trump works for is sending bombs right now to Kyiv. He's not interested in peace. All this talk about peace and a ceasefire is only so that Putin can rearm so he can take all of Ukraine. We cannot let that happen. The European Union must come to terms with the fact that America is compromised, that Olympus has fallen, that the age of post-war prosperity ensured by America's nuclear umbrella is over. The Kremlin won that round. They have subverted the government of my nation. The land of my heart, the home of the free and the brave, is fallen to a malign foreign power. I wonder who Biden was working for too. Olympus has fallen. Yes, it has. America is not the same country, and Trump is Agent Krasnov, yes. They tried to make Zelensky look like a schoolboy. They made themselves look like schoolyard bullies, and Zelensky like the only adult in the room, is what it looked like to me. Okay. Hey, Arn. Yeah, you know, listening to JD Vance talk about how he saw a video on the internet, so he knows what's going on, was just the height of the arrogance of American bullshit, wasn't it? I saw a video on the YouTubes. Oh, I must know what I'm talking about. Oh, God, it's disgusting. All right. What did we see last night? Last night we saw 200 and, oh gosh, I want to say 208. If I'm not mistaken, last night we saw 208 drones come in. Where's my other phone? Shoot. I'm all discombobulated. I had to take a nap before this. It's really hard for me to stay up until midnight, guys. But at any rate, we saw last night the mobile defense units took out 98% of incoming Shahed drones. And I thought I had good news for everybody. I really thought we were seeing Trump and Putin both make real concessions about real things in the world. We saw Putin 2 days ago on state TV acknowledge that the Ukrainian constitution prohibits elections during martial law. And that was a really big move from the Kremlin to say that, because it acknowledges that Ukraine exists, that it has a constitution, that its laws matter, and that this bullshit about how Zelensky is illegitimate was going away, is what I thought. Now today we can see that what Putin has done is told lying Uncle Scam to get out there and squeeze Zelensky for his rare minerals and for a ceasefire to save the Russians. Trump and Vance are doing everything they can to save the Russian Federation from collapse, and no one can save it. It can't be saved. It's like the USSR, right? We tried so desperately to save the USSR, and it was all in vain. You couldn't do it. It's a society that is rotten from within. It is a failed nation. It is a nation with a declining population because no one wants to live there. It is a nation that suffered 500 years of serfdom, where the people were treated like property, followed by 80 years of the most evil experiment in manufacturing a new human being, Homo Sovieticus. And Homo Sovieticus is down to a party of one. There's one left, and his name is Vladimir Putin. He's the only one fed on those lies and bullshit of the Soviet Union that still believes on any of it and is still fighting for that fight. Evil, pure evil. And then you have 30 years of outright gangsterism. I don't count Ukraine out of this fight at all. Not at all. Russia is weak. Russia is on its knees. The United States is in the hands of an incompetent madman and fool. But he does wield the power of the United States right now. One thing that gives me some ease of spirit is that what dictators can never do is give an order that doesn't get obeyed. And I don't think the United States military is going to do any of the things that he might want them to do. He orders the U.S. military to go into Ukraine and fight Ukrainians with Russians, right, with the Russians. That's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. He orders them to invade Canada or Mexico. That's not going to fly. There's no way. Those kinds of illegal orders will not be followed by the United States military. I believe. I firmly believe that. So keep your fingers crossed, everybody. What happens after Russia's collapse? That's a great question, Cheryl, right? Because Russia will collapse. Now, there are at least 6 independence movements arming themselves right now inside the Russian Federation. You've got the Tuvans. You've got the Confederacy of Bashkortostan. You've got, the list goes on, right? Yes, I'm obviously an American. So it is likely that in the power vacuum that will be left by Putin, you're going to see some independence movements try to reassert their independence, which many of them had for a short period of time from like 91 to 94, before the Kremlin started reeling them all back in again. And you're going to see individual warlords with their own private armies vying for power inside of what's left of the Russian Federation. Beyond that, the big concern, of course, and the thing that's held everybody back is their fear of the Russian nukes and of loose nukes, of nukes going out on the market to people like Kim Jong-un and the mullahs in Iran. Well, those people have nukes already. And so, and of course, we don't know how many of the Russian nukes actually work. It's been theorized that none of the tactical nuclear arsenal is still working inside of Russia. That's a big deal. That's like half the arsenal. Now, how many of the ICBMs are working is another question. And those ICBMs are a real concern. Oreshnik might be a myth. Oreshnik might be garbage. But USSR's ICBMs are real. Can you make video and explain how did Trump unite Europe? We are ready for everything together. That is one of the side effects of this insanity, right? Is that Europe has never been more united. The Ukrainians have never been more supportive of their president. Their president's, Zelensky's poll ratings, since he's been attacked by Trump, went from 52 to 57. I think they're at 72% now. The whole country is just lined right up behind him, even people who don't like him. So, like Putin's boomerang diplomacy, where it keeps coming back to smack him in the face, the same is true of Trump. Trump says this bullshit. I mean, think about the pushback that Trump got just for calling Zelensky a dictator. You think he's not going to get pushback over this? That he just caved to spout Russian propaganda at an ally the way he did. I am ashamed for America too. Hey, Jay, good to see you. I'm glad you're on the job tonight. We're going to be busy. Some people are saying it was an ambush. I don't know that it was. I don't know that Trump has the patience or the politesse to arrange such a thing. It is time for America to wake up. It certainly is. Olympus has fallen. Nordic countries are shocked and angry with Trump. Yes, they are. And well, they should be, Lars, right? But again, the hope that we should all be taking from this is that Russia's on its last legs and it knows it. It knows it. It has to push. It has to push for a ceasefire at all costs because it can't afford to keep fighting. And that's the lesson that we should all be taking from this. Now is the time to put the screws to Putin, not to let it up. Not to let it up. Now, of course, the U.S. is going to come in and try to help. They're going to come in and save Vlad, sad, mad, bad Vlad. And it doesn't appear that even the traditional Republicans inside the party who understand that Russia is our enemy are going to be able to do a goddamn thing about it. Not with Uncle Scam in charge. No way. As long as the American federal system is being controlled by the Kremlin, there is very little we're going to be able to do. Why has the ruble rebounded so much? The ruble has rebounded so much because of market manipulation by the Russian central bank, combined with a feeling of elation and hopefulness because of all of Trump's comments, combined with a weaker dollar because everybody's watching Trump destroy the economy of the United States. Do I think that Trump will give Russia weapons? He might. No, it is not possible that Trump... Don't make excuses for Trump and Vance. Oh, those poor boys. Oh, they were just horsing around. Oh, they were just busting balls. It's just a guy thing. No, they're out of their fucking minds with power, and they're so thin-skinned. They can't take anything that threatens their worldview. So when they speak a lie, they can't be in a room with anybody who points out that it's a fucking lie. That's about as weak and thin-skinned as you can be. Their behavior is indefensible. People who try to make excuses for them sound like beaten wives who are trying to explain to people that they're abusive husbands. Oh, I make him so angry, officer. It's not his fault I'm so stupid. Give me a fucking break. Oh, no, it's not the America you know, because it's not America, it's Russia. This is the Russian way of doing things. That's what you're seeing. The White House is firmly in the control of the Kremlin. It's just that simple. Yeah, he betrayed us all. He betrayed our allies. He betrayed the American people. He has betrayed everybody except the people who have $5 million and want a gold card to the United States. Then it doesn't matter if you're a cartel member, if you're a Russian oligarch, it doesn't matter. You got $5 million. We're going to welcome you in because it's now the United States of crime. And as much crime as President Trump can do in the next 4 years, he's going to do that crime. And it is going to cost the American people everything. Everything. He is more than a national embarrassment. He is a threat to the world. And the fools that follow him deserve everything that happens to them. It's a crime. It's a sin. It's a shame. I don't know why we can't stop him. I don't know why he wasn't put in jail under Biden. They had 4 fucking years. They are either too weak or they are complicit in the downfall of the United States. States may not ask to leave the Union. No, we fought a war about that. Don't forget that you have a friend in Turkey. Do I? I was unaware of that. Putin is the one who caused World War III. Just stop that, Marzam. I mean, saying something that stupid, that gets you blocked forever. Putin is behind all of this. So call sign monkey. Yeah, hit me up, man. Send me a note. You doing anything tomorrow at 11 a.m.? There's an English-speaking club over on the left bank I go to tomorrow. We could hit the coffee shop after. Yeah, hit me up, brother. Thank you, Hamza. Yep, big rich families. We call them oligarchs, Natalie. The United States is currently subverted by foreign and domestic oligarchs. That should be clear to everybody. Turkey and Erdogan, according to Larry Kaufman, said the only acceptable solution is Russia out of Ukraine 100%. Now, legitimately, Erdogan has said that he supports the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine. And Ukraine and Turkey have been working together, right? They worked together to oust Assad. So that's all good shit. Jay, show this Zag to the door, would you please, if he's still here? The Bayraktar company supplied $100 million worth of free drones to Ukraine. That's more than many European countries did. Impressive. Look, I think what Europe needs is an alternative to NATO. NATO without the United States is not NATO. So I think, and you can't count on the United States now that it has fallen. And therefore, I think Europe needs a new security umbrella. And I think that Ukraine should be part of it. So forget about NATO. Just some other block of defensive organization to fight against the imperative Russian threat, which is very real and very present. Okay, got it, Hamza. Thank you. We can move on now. This one sent you today, Fast Angel. UK just signed a 100-year deal with Ukraine. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Ukraine needs friends like you. Turkey has the second largest army in NATO. Is that true? Interesting. NATO was designed for that specific purpose, right? To support and defend Europe from Russia. Therefore, now that the U.S. is on Russia's side, you can't have NATO. It doesn't work anymore. So, Putin's big goal of getting rid of NATO, he may have accomplished that. But he may have created an organization that's even stronger, one without the U.S. Because look, the hallmark of these dictators is that they are incompetent. And they have to hide their incompetence from people. Having Trump and his confederacy of dunces in charge in the U.S. is going to mean that the way that the U.S. did things is suddenly upside down and backwards. You can't say anything that goes against what the boss says. Well, that's going to be a problem real fucking fast. Because the boss doesn't know shit about shit. And that means things are going to fall apart. Things are, just like in Russia, things are going to start falling apart at an accelerating rate. Somebody says they're a proud Russian asset since 1987. Everybody forgets the KGB arranged a trip to Moscow for Trump in 87. That the next year in 1988, he had a short, aborted run for president in 88. During which he spent $1 million of his own money to take out a full-page ad in the New York Times saying that we should get out of NATO. And here we are 40 years later, and he's singing the same tune. Oh, there's champagne corks popping all over Moscow today. There is no doubt about it. Happy birthday, Michaela. KGB are still out there in their various guises. Not anymore, because now for just the low, low price of $5 million, they can be U.S. citizens with all the rights and privileges thereof. They are going to find that operating in the United States is much harder than they think. A lot of people in the U.S. are armed. You don't just go into a business and threaten somebody. There is that. There's definitely a learning curve with extortion inside the United States. It's a gold card. And he is just going to throw everybody under the bus. Everybody who got him elected. We've already seen him wreck policy with China that's destroying American farms. We've already seen him cut VA benefits, right? Veterans, his base. He's fucked them over already. He's making cuts to Medicaid and Social Security. The people who got him elected live on Medicaid and Social Security. And he is throwing them under the bus in favor of $5 million a head cartel members and oligarchs. Ridiculous. Obscene. He's running government like his businesses, right into the ground. Government is not a business. It's not about making money. It's ridiculous. He's turned the land of the free into the land of the fee. What does Putin have on Trump? Well, look, we know, right, that the Russians have bailed him out a bunch of times. We know that they paid $94 million for a property in Florida that only appraised for $28 million. Why'd they pay 3 times as much? Because he needed the bailout. All those NFTs that he sold, all that dark money coming in untraceable. How the fuck do you sell $40 million worth of NFTs in 12 hours? Garbage NFTs, by the way, right? Like real garbage. You sell them to people who are just looking to funnel as much money to you as they can so that they can buy you and your position as president of the United States. That's who buys those stupid NFTs of his. How do you run a casino and go bankrupt? That is a great question, isn't it, Jedi? Oh, I don't think it was easy for Russia to win this. I think it was a 40-year campaign. And they may not have even won in time. They may not have even won in time. It may be too late for them. They did, certainly the re-election of Donald Trump is the greatest win that Vladimir Putin has ever known. He is bought and paid for, baby. No two ways about it. But the win may have come too late to save Putin and to save Russia. There's Fitz. Fitz is a sponsor tonight along with the God of Thunder, Thor. So if you see those guys around, thank them. They've been at it for at least 40 years. Titch, I'm with you. I'm with your reading of this thing. Zelensky handled himself like an adult and a professional. And it was the two idiots who acting like schoolyard bullies who looked the fools, who looked like they worked for somebody else. Everything Trump does is an embarrassment to the United States. I mean, please. He's the worst. The absolute worst. How my fellow Americans could be suckered by him is beyond me. It is baffling, bewildering. Zelensky looked stable and human. They looked incompetent and manipulated. I agree, secondary dysfunction. I think you hit it on the head very nicely there. Yes, I absolutely agree. No, I definitely don't think most Americans feel that way. God knows I don't. Yeah, Trump dodged military service 6 times with his bullshit bone spurs. Why do you think Pence has distanced himself from Trump as much as possible? Oh, gosh, I don't know, Michael. Because Trump tried to have him murdered, maybe? I mean, come on. Pence was still sickeningly sympathetic to Donald during the last election. My fallen American teammates are rolling in their graves for this BS. I bet they are. World War III. Hello from the Twilight Zone. Trump has stopped the weapons. The U.S. is not currently sending any aid to Ukraine at all. And that will become a problem eventually. That will eventually become a problem. Yes, it will. Europe's got to intervene. They've got to intervene. And they've got to do it fast. No two ways about it. Roy, that's a great question. I can't answer that. I don't know the answer to that question. Roy's question is, are we still providing intelligence? It seems unlikely, and I'll tell you why. Because Lavrov recently said there are 3 things we need from the Americans. We need them to stop supplying weapons, we need them to stop supplying intelligence, and we need them to... What was the other thing? It was 3 things, and intelligence and weapons were 2 of the keys that they needed America to stop doing. So you can almost be certain that means we're cutting off intelligence too. Trump stopped the CHIPS Act today? Oh my God, are you kidding me? I mean, look, I didn't even really support the CHIPS Act. It's corporate welfare. It's bad corporate welfare, in my opinion. So I'm not a big supporter, but it's better than not having it. No, cutting off Starlink wasn't one of the things that Russia said it needed. But the good news on that is, according to Defense Minister Umerov, the Ukrainians have a replacement for Starlink ready to go. He can't stop it? What do you mean he can't stop it? Sure he can. He's the president of the United States. If he says stop sending data, stop sending intelligence to Ukraine, it will stop. Why would you think he can't stop it? He's the commander-in-chief. NATO can do the intelligence without the United States. The 4 eyes, the rest of 5 eyes can do it, yeah. I did not hear about a veteran's demand. Everyone should cut off Starlink and Tesla, I agree. Musk is actually the decider on Starlink. I agree, Jedi. If Musk wants to turn it off, he will. EU has satellites, use them. I'm with you. Everyone is boycotting Tesla. Yay. Boycott it all. Maybe I'll stop posting on X. I don't really have a following there anyway. I just do it out of habit. Storm shadows do not need U.S. permission, Zoe. That is a lie. Roy Daniels deleted X. Yeah, I should do the same. Trump exposed Ukraine and Zelensky. Yeah, whatever. Jay, you beat me to that one. Nice. Yeah, no, I would love to see the British withdraw their state visit request after the way Keir Starmer was treated. I mean, who wants to invite that abusive piece of shit into your home? Yep, Anthony. Europe needs to support Ukraine without the U.S. As painful as it is for me to say such a thing, It really bothers me to say that, but I think it's true. Withdraw your offer to bring Trump to England. It's not going to do you any good. He's a creature of the Kremlin. Turkey is supporting Ukraine, doing a hell of a job, too. Yeah, let Trump stay home. He's America first, after all, right? Why should anybody bring him in? Yes, Trump can be impeached, but the political will does not exist to do it, Rui. The entire Republican Party is afraid of him. Travis, you hit it on the head. Everyone only respects Zelensky more now. Yes, I agree. All thinking people, anyway. Felons can't travel. Good point. Does anybody have the time? I'm sorry, I don't know what I did with the other phone. I don't know what I did with it. I must have left it outside. Is it 57 already? Holy cow. Wow, time flew. So big thanks to Jay and Travis, the moderator team here. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Big thanks to our sponsors, Fitz and Thor, the God of Thunder. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, and Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces. Thank you all very, very much. Final thoughts. We lived through history today. Today is a day that will be written about in history books. And it is a sad, tragic day. I do think that when the history of this period is written, if it keeps going the way it's going, this will be the day that America died. That the promise of 200 years of a self-governed nation governed by the will of the people fell to a ruthless, incompetent dictator who couldn't sit down with a guy in olive drab, couldn't respect a man who wasn't in a $2,000 suit. Obscene. Hey, Dave. Hey, Ange. How are you guys doing? My buddies from New York State, upper New York State there. Out by the res. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Yeah. That's the day. Don't rub it in my face. You know I can't get edibles here. All right, guys. It's 1 a.m. here. We got an air alert. I got an 11 a.m. tomorrow. I really appreciate everybody being here. I have one sponsor for Monday, Little Red Sunflower. And beyond that, I have no other sponsors for the month of March. So if anybody wants to sponsor, the PayPal is in the description, as is the Patreon. I would much rather you became a Patreon member at $5 a month. Patreon keeps telling me that my top tier is the $5 a month tier. I would love for everybody to be a $5 a month Patreon member. You may not think it's anything, but it adds up. And it means that I live in a world where nobody contributes so much money to me that they think they can tell me what to say. It keeps me completely independent. Now, for everybody who's a $100 a month member or whatever, you know you can't tell me what to say either. And I appreciate you more than anything because You make my life possible, so thank you. And of course, at those tiers, you get other benefits. So check it out and choose a tier that's right for you. And help keep independent journalism in Ukraine flowing so that even as the White House bans all the world-respected reporters, at least some semblance of the truth can get out from here. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. You lost me when you said Ukraine is now in the hands of Russia. Well, I didn't say that, so I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, but I don't have anywhere near 33,000 Patreon subscribers. I have 100. I just hit 100 paying Patreon subscribers. The last guy, Integral, who joined, made it 100 even. Thanks, CyberDoc. Don't worry, you don't have to defend me from the trolls. All right, kids, make it a great day. Thanks for hanging out.